Hey guys, welcome back to the Dr. Cliff AUD vlog. This is vlog number 70, and today might be a little bit shorter of a vlog because if you've been following me on Instagram, and I'll put my Instagram handle up here, you would know that my parents are actually in town, and it is the first time that I've seen my parents in like a year and a half. So I'm gonna finish recording this vlog and I'm gonna immediately go grab them, take them over to the new clinic because they have not seen it in person yet. I might even film their reactions, so stay tuned to the very end of this vlog because I think I'm gonna go ahead and put in their reactions at the very end. That being said, the thing that I want to talk about today is this stigma surrounding hearing loss. So for years, there's been research out there showing that there is a both external and internal perception of stigma surrounding hearing loss. And what I mean by external and internal is other people, around you view you as having some kind of deficiency associated with hearing loss, okay? So some kind of stigma that they're perceiving about you and your hearing status. An internal stigma is basically the exact opposite of that, which is you perceive there to be a stigma associated with your hearing loss, okay? Now, I believe that the stigma around hearing loss in general, so both external and internal, I feel like those stigmas are starting to go away. And I think that they're actually going away quite significantly, and even though I don't have any new data to show that, a lot of the data that we look at when it comes to stigma is back in like the early 2000s, maybe like 2010, 2011, something like that. But there has been major changes in the last decade, if you ask me. And I'll start with this. When I was in grad school and I was in my research statistics class, I had, me and a group of my fellow students had to go around and do like a survey research project for that class so we could run statistical analysis on it. And what we ultimately decided to do is we wanted to see if there was a perception of an external and internal stigma surrounding hearing loss. So what we did is we surveyed something like 60 to 70 individuals to identify if they felt like if there was stigma associated with hearing loss, hearing aids, things like that. Would your knowledge of someone else having a hearing loss or having hearing treatment in the form of hearing aids or cochlear implant, would that change their opinion about that particular person? And what we found out was that not only was there no stigma perceived in the statistical analysis that we did with these surveys, but it was like non-existent. I mean, the vast majority of individuals felt no differently between individuals with normal hearing and individuals with a hearing loss, even if they knew that they had, some kind of treatment for that, like hearing aids. And I bring this up because I just posted a video the other day about deaf metal, and this is hearing aid jewelry. And I understand that it's primarily geared towards females, but the whole concept here is that instead of like shying away from this idea that maybe you have hearing difficulty and you have to use hearing aids or a cochlear implant or bone-anchored hearing aid, and then you have to hide it, it's the exact opposite. It's taking pride in taking these devices that you use that enhance your life and actually showing them off, right? Attaching jewelry to them, bedazzling them, using fun stickers or whatever the case may be on your hearing devices just to show them off and not hide behind this fact that you may have hearing loss and having a hearing difficulty. Now, one of the reasons that I don't talk about the stigma behind hearing loss that much is because anytime that you basically go out and say, hey, there's a stigma surrounding hearing loss and we want to get rid of this stigma, there shouldn't be a stigma, inevitably it has the effect of some people are like, wait, there's a stigma surrounding it. Should I feel, stigmatized by this? Like how do I feel when I find out that other people believe that there's a stigma still? And so it kind of almost perpetuates this idea that there should be a stigma, even though there shouldn't be. So, but at the same time, I struggle with this idea that that I shouldn't be talking about something because it normalizes that behavior. I do think that we need to talk about this stigma surrounding hearing loss and the fact that I truly believe that it is going away. And if we had some universities conduct like no joke, large scale survey, and statistical analysis on those surveys, that they would start to identify that the perception of external and internal stigma surrounding hearing loss and hearing treatment has been significantly diminished in the recent years. And I think that there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I think with social media, I think that a lot of individuals who have hearing loss have been able to come together in these, Facebook group forums and hearingtracker.com forums, and you just start to realize like how many people have hearing loss. I mean, if you're unaware of the prevalence of hearing loss, you should just Google some statistics on that, because eventually we are going to have like more people with hearing loss than without hearing loss, and it's going to be more normal to have a hearing loss than it is to not have a hearing loss or have, quote unquote, normal hearing. And so I think that just the sheer fact that people are realizing, wait, I'm not the only one with hearing difficulty here. I'm not the only one who's treating my hearing loss with this technology that is coming out nowadays, which is the second part of this aspect of the reason why I think that this stigma is being reduced, is that the technology that we have nowadays is substantially better than what we had in the past. And I'm not just saying this because I'm an audiologist who fits hearing aids and I've got to say nice things about them all the time, but I mean, the hearing aids from 20, 30 years ago just did not have the ability to correct the levels of hearing loss that people have, to the point where they can go out and almost like completely convince everybody that they have normal hearing. And on top of that, the technology that they have out nowadays is much better looking, if you ask me. I mean, even if you're not trying to attach jewelry to it or put rhinestones on your hearing aids or anything like that, the hearing aids that you have nowadays are much smaller. And not only that, but they're a lot sleeker looking. I mean, they're just not bad looking devices anymore like they used to be in the past. And I think that goes a long way to helping someone decide to treat their hearing loss. Now, I see patients all the time in my clinic and I show them, well, this is the best hearing aid for you. And they're like, that's it? Like, it's not that big. I thought they were gonna be much bigger. I thought they were gonna look like the ones that my grandparents wore that were huge and they couldn't hear anything with them anyways. And I just think that education and understanding and changing your perception about hearing loss and hearing treatment goes a long way with this. And I think it's just a matter of time before the stigma surrounding hearing loss is at the same level as that of vision loss. I mean, I remember back when I was younger even, and I'm in my upper 30s at this point, but I remember back when there was all this talk about, having to wear eyeglasses and, being in school and kids calling you four eyes and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I'm glad that I don't have to wear glasses, because I would be a total nerd if I have to wear glasses. And now there are times where I wear glasses that don't even have a prescription in them because they look cool, right? I mean, that's just like, it's crazy to me, But I think that the combination of us talking about it more, us not having really deficiencies when it comes to hearing anymore. I mean, there's a treatment for everybody when it comes to hearing loss, and I think the thing that from an external perspective of stigma, I think the biggest aspect of it is that when someone has hearing loss but they don't treat it, and they go throughout, communication with people, and they're always having to ask people to repeat themselves. They're, basically oblivious to a lot of things that are going on, and it's not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's perceived as a bad thing externally. And so if you really truly believe that there's a stigma around your hearing loss, a lot of that is due to the fact that you're probably not treating your hearing loss as effectively as you should be to overcome the hearing difficulties that you're having. Now, I know I might catch some flack for this, and I know that there's different communities and different schools of thought on hearing treatment. I personally believe if someone does not want to treat their hearing loss because they want to use other forms of communication like sign language or cued speech or something like that, I am totally all for that. I still think that we have to go a ways when it comes to discrimination. I do think that there is still discrimination against individuals who have hearing loss, and in particular, individuals who have hearing loss who don't have the ability to have really good hearing after treatment with hearing loss. I feel like those individuals can, have difficult time finding jobs, difficult time holding jobs. There are vocational rehab programs. I'm pretty sure every single state, at least in the United States, has a vocational rehab of some kind inside of their state so they can get help with hearing treatment if you can't afford it or you need hearing treatment to stay going to work. But I think that in general, the stigma around this aspect of hearing loss or having to use hearing treatment to overcome your hearing loss is largely going away. And at the end of the day, I really think obviously that's a good thing, but we have to start coming to terms with this idea that if you have a hearing loss, I think you'd be shocked at how few people view that as being even a disability, or view that as being something that would change people's opinion of you. And I think that you should take pride in it. It's just like when I was younger. In fact, I'm still a skinny guy, right? Like I don't have a whole lot of like muscle mass on me. And when I was younger, I was very self-conscious about it. I mean, to the point where I would wear really baggy shirts because I felt like that made, like people couldn't tell that I was skinny. And that only made me look skinnier probably now that when I look back at it. And it was probably the reason why I started weightlifting when I was like a junior in high school, because I shot up to like 6 foot tall and I still weighed like 115 pounds. I mean, it was just ridiculous. But when you start to realize that there's something that maybe you're not happy about with yourself, taking the steps to try to mitigate that, but me weightlifting and getting bigger wasn't the thing that made me feel good about myself. The thing that made me feel good about myself was realizing, you know what? Yeah, I am skinny. So what? Right? Like, I think of this movie, what was it, 8 Mile with Eminem, right? And they go through this movie, and then at the very end, they have this rap battle. And I understand, like, you may not have seen this movie, but this is very important. Eminem, the rapper, the star of the movie, goes into that. He's, the white guy in this, the primarily black community. And to some degree, there's some kind of, stigma around being a white rapper in that time. And he goes in there and he starts rapping about all of the things that people would point out about him for him not being good at, or for him, whatever, like all the things that are bad about him that are perceptually viewed as a stigma or bad about him. He raps about all of them and he's like, okay, so what do you got to say about me now, right? And then the other guy comes up to start basically pointing out flaws in him, and he has nothing to rap about because Eminem was like, yeah, all those things you think are bad about me, so what? What else you got, right? And that's the way I think about stigma surrounding hearing loss. When you decide to own it, right, and you decide to do whatever it is that's best for you in terms of treatment of it or not treatment of it, depending on you as an individual, I think that goes a long way to overcoming stigma. As soon as you can accept it, as soon as you can accept that you have hearing loss and that you're doing everything that you can about it or that you want to about it, that's when stigma goes away. That's the reason that I don't feel stigmatized anymore when it comes to me being skinny. If someone else is like, man, you're skinny, why don't you go eat a cheeseburger? I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. So I'm comfortable with who I am, right? And so I don't perceive there being a stigma with that. And so why would I perceive a stigma with hearing loss when truly that doesn't mean that anything's wrong with you? It's just something that you have to deal with that maybe other people don't have to deal with. So what I would really like is I would like your help to overcome this stigma, to destigmatize hearing loss. And one of the ways that you can do that is taking a photo of your ears with your hearing aids, with your bone-anchored hearing aid, with your cochlear implant, whatever it is that you do to try to overcome your hearing loss. And take a photo of it, post it on Instagram, and tag me, and use the hashtag #destigmatizehearingloss. Because if we can show people that there is nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to having hearing loss, that is the only way that we're gonna overcome this stigma. All right, guys, thank you for hanging on with me here. I do think that this is a very important topic that we need to kind of bring out of the shadows and make people understand that there's nothing anything about hearing loss that should be stigmatized. That being said, that is it for this week's vlog. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and subscribe. Again, go check out my Instagram at Dr. Cliff AUD so you can see behind the scenes stuff and so you can see my parents and all of that stuff. And as always, guys, I'll see you next week. What do you think about the new clinic?
Oh, it's so gorgeous, honey. And you did such a good video that sometimes I'd go into a room and I think I've been here. And I go, no, I haven't. It was just an empty shell when I was here. So that's cool. You did a great job on your video, but it's so cool to see it in person.
What's your favorite part?
The mirrors and the mirrored stand in the room.
The console table in the waiting room?
And I love the marble pretty thing that you have at when
you can't have more than one favorite thing.
Oh no, and the bathroom's great too.
Dad, what do you think about the clinic?
I think it's wonderful. I don't know how you could come up with all this stuff to fix it to the way you wanted it, and it's just it's beautiful.
What's your favorite part?
Oh, you walk in the entryway and see that marble
It's
desk at the entryway.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And of course the mirrors at the end of the hallway.
You only get to pick one thing, Dad.
Okay, the best thing about this clinic is the person I'm looking at right now.
Oh.